and welcome to my studio. Today we are going to talk about what went wrong with the 1,000 subscriber winner pour that I did. I posted the video this week showing what was supposed to be the winning prize, and then I posted on the video saying something went horribly wrong. I'm going to have to report. You can see that video right there. So several things went wrong. And none of these things have ever happened to me before. They all happened at once with this pour. So as you remember, Sandy had picked these wonderful colors. I did the pour. It came out, and when it started drying, it started curling like a lot. And I'm like, what in the heck is going on? Because I had put the X on the back. It wasn't warped when I put it down to dry. I put it down to dry and it's, well, you can see here a little bit, but the board itself is not warped, believe it or not. So what happened was, and I don't know if you can see this, I'm gonna see that? The canvas has come off the board. The adhesive that stuck the canvas to the panel let go, and I had this big bubble underneath, which made it look warped. It's like, this isn't, the board isn't actually warped. It's being pulled because the canvas has detached itself from the board and it's kind of become straight up here and has pulled everything up. So when it dried, I went, oh my God, like that's never happened to me before. What went wrong? So what I did is I flipped it over on my craft mat and I put a big, huge, heavy weight on it. I gave it a little bit of a spray with water, put it down, put the heavy weight on it, left it for a couple of days. And when I came back, it was perfectly flat. Everything was fine. Now, I was not under the illusion that the canvas had re-adhered itself to the panel. I knew that that was not possible. However, you know, once it was flat, it was flat. Then I noticed that a little bit of paint from my craft mat had stuck to the painting. So I said, oh, I'll just take a wet nap and I'll wipe it. Wow. Then the black started coming off. It was like none of the other colors, just the black that I used for the background pour started lifting. It's been a week. Is it lifting anymore? It's still lifting. I'm still getting black. Look at that. Oh my God. Because usually what happens is when my piece is dry, I spray it with a gloss varnish, or I use a gloss varnish with the sponge like I showed you in my vernishing video, and it's all good. But because a piece of that paint had stuck, I took the wet nap and I started to wipe it, and I was like, what in the heck is going on? Like, acrylic paint is plastic. It's not supposed to lift. And the only one that was lifting was the black, which I had made with the Cheap Joes. But I had used the Cheap Joes on other paintings and never had this issue. And you can, let me see if I can, let me zoom in here. I don't know if you can see that really well, but the black is actually lifting off the beige, like where you can see the beige underneath. So I was like, what in the heck is, look at this. It's been a week. I'm losing my mind. I'm like, what in the heck has happened? So I have two theories. So first of all, this canvas panel I got from the dollar store like 2 years ago, my husband was at the dollar store and said, oh, look, canvas panels. And he bought me one to try out. It was a $2 canvas panel. You get what you pay for. Right? So first of all, the adhesive between the canvas and the board sucked. And for whatever reason, the Cheap Joe's is not sticking to the canvas. Now, I don't know what to say because, again, I have been using the Cheap Joe's. I've never, just as my background pour, because I didn't want to use the Liquitex because it pours off the edge. And then my Liquitex is considerably more expensive than the Cheap Joe's, so it was a cost-saving measure. But I've never rubbed one of my paintings before either after it's dry, because I've never had to. I've just sealed it and it's been good. But even when I was doing the glossing with the sponge, like nothing ever came up on the sponge. I never got color up on the sponge. So I don't know if it's a combination of, look at that. I don't know if it's a combination of the cheap canvas that doesn't, maybe it wasn't well gessoed, so the black couldn't adhere to it. I don't know. Anyways, I couldn't send this to Sandy. I was just like, so this has to go in the garbage. So what I've learned is don't buy cheap canvas panels if you're going to pour. Obviously, the amount of paint that I put on it, the moisture helped the adhesive lift off the canvas panel. And then as it dried, because it's a cotton, it shrank and then it started pulling everything in. Now when I flattened it, it was fine. And if I had left it, sprayed it, it would have been good, except then I went and tried to take the little piece off, and then I couldn't understand what was happening because it had never happened to me before. And I'm like, oh, that beige doesn't look nice. And then I realized it was because the black was coming off and settling on top of the beige. Ugh. Anyways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-pour today, use the exact same colors. I'm going to use a good canvas panel that I've bought. I have to find one. And I'm going to use the Cheap Joe's too. And I'm going to see what happens. Because let's try this here. Because this is the, oh no, that's the Mars Black. I just did it for the color thing. I don't know. So, Sandy, I apologize profusely that this piece did not turn out and got ruined, but there was no way I was just going to gloss it and send it to you because the colors were all dull because the black had moved on top of it. Even here, like the black gets stuck inside of the canvas warp and weave, and it just dulled everything and it was horrible. So I'm going to get a new canvas panel. I'm going to zoom out. We're going to redo this pour with the exact same colors. All right? Excellent. I will be back. Okay, so here's the old 12 by 16. Here's the new 12 by 16. This is an Artist Loft canvas panel from Michaels. You can get them in a 5-pack. And I am not going to gesso on the back, just to show you that sometimes you don't have to. All right. I'm going to do a little bit of real time and then probably a little bit of fast forward. Let's see how this goes. So, same Cheap Joe's background black. go. I love this one. I love that I got less blue in it because the chair is just an aspect of the room. It's not the focal point like the other colors are, the wall color. The gray was in the carpet, the brown was some of the major accessories. So I'm really glad that there's less blue this time. Here's the old one. See, there was a lot of blue. I like this one better. So I'm going to call this one Sandi's Serenity again. I'm going to let this dry and come back, and we will have a little test with the wipe to see if it's the Cheap Joe's, which I don't believe it is. I really don't think it's the Cheap Joe's. I really think it was that crappy canvas. So we'll come back and talk about that, and then we'll wrap it up. I'll see you soon. Okay, so here we are. This is dry. This is the second one. As you can see, there is minimal cupping on this one, and I didn't put the X on the back, so very minimal. Turned out really well. I like it. This one's going in the garbage. This is the old one. Very dark, very dreary. I really like this. It's nice and light. It doesn't have a gloss coat on it yet, so it's still kind of matte. However, we need to do the wipe. I need to do the wipe, and I wanted you to see it. Let me get a wipe here. Okay, I have a nice fresh wipe. There's some, that's black there, right? Yeah, that's the black. Let's see if that comes off. And it does. So I can't use the Cheap Joe's as my background anymore. Because normally I would just spray this and then I'd never worry about it, but that's an issue because, like, as you can see, these colors don't come up. So I'm gonna have to find a new background paint. Okay, so I have to modify some information that I have given you in the past. I have always used the Liquitex Basics for the pouring, and I have been using a cheaper paint for my background pours, simply because it pours off anyways. And I have been using the Cheap Joe's. Obviously, Cheap Joe's can't be used. I'll use what I have left on small paintings that are going to be spray varnished, but on my big paintings, I can't do that. I can't take a chance of using the sponge to put the varnish down and smearing that into another color. So that's out. So I have yet to try the Dick Blick Acrylics. I have some with my art partner for Paint and Palooza classes, but I haven't used it in a pour. But the other one, I just ordered a liter of the Rheostat paint, which is made in Canada and is sold through Curry's. I just bought a big tub of it to use as a background color because I knew that I had that problem with the Joe's and they were having a special this weekend. So I've ordered that. We're going to test that one out. So my opinion at this time is, so it is March 13th, 2017. All the videos up to this point where I've said that I'm using Cheap Joe's and it's okay, I am reeling that back now that I have new information, and it's not plasticizing like the other acrylics are, so it's no good for my purposes. That does not mean that you can't use it, mix it with the glue or mix it with the oil or mix it with the pouring medium, especially the pouring medium, because that will acrylicize it more. But for what I do with the 50% paint and the 50% water by weight, that mixture isn't working. So this is the piece. It's called Sandi's Serenity because this one's going in the garbage. I am going to give it a gloss coat, sign the back, and ship it to Sandi. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe down here so you can follow me on my artful journey. I hope that these videos are helpful to you, especially the ones where I kind of make a mistake and then figure out what's going wrong and then come up with a solution, even if the solution in this case was that I had to repour. But I'm actually really glad that I have found this out about the Cheap Joes. I'm getting ready to do my 8 foot by 4 foot piece for the Devonshire Mall, and I was going to use the white as the background, and now I am not. So I'm very happy that I found this out. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. It's always better when you're here. Bye.